Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Celestial Tree. I'm an astrologer, intuitive reader, and soul psychologist as well. I have been gone from my channel for a while. I got sick in May, and then I've just been working, going to different events, doing readings, and we have had the heat wave, so me turning on my PC was just not, it was just out of the question. But anyway, I'm back now. Hopefully it's gonna get hot again soon, so hopefully I'll be able to record. But we'll see how it goes. So today we are going to be chatting about the full moon in Capricorn. It's happening at 18 degrees of Capricorn on the 10th of July. So make sure you guys check your charts for any planets or points at around 18 degrees of cardinal signs. So Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra. Because this might be where you feel the effects of the full moon the most. Before I get started, gentle reminder, if you would like a reading from me, you can book with me on my website at celestialhealingrealm.com. And remember to subscribe to my channel for more horoscopes and astrology updates. I know I've been gone, but hopefully I'm back now. So this full moon is a bit of an interesting one. I feel like I say that all the time, to be fair, but there are a few sort of energies that I kind of want to make you aware of before we get into the horoscopes. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is that this full moon does feel like a peak, a culmination, or like a closing of a cycle that maybe began at the end of last year when we had that amazing new moon in Capricorn on the 30th of December. This full moon on the 10th of July is kind of calling us to either address, acknowledge, or release something related to what began at the end of last year, or it could be related to whatever area of your chart Capricorn rules over, which we will get to. Another thing I wanted to add is that it does feel like kind of like a big review moment. It feels like this full moon being sort of at the midpoint of the year is inviting us to kind of do like a progress review. Capricorn energy and the Capricorn archetype is kind of like the architect, so it's all about the goal and building slowly and steadily towards whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So try to view this particular full moon as a progress review. So what needs to change, what needs to be released, and what needs to be addressed in order for you to reach the goals that you have set for yourself. The last thing I will mention is that aside from addressing, releasing, and acknowledging, this full moon is also calling for balance as well. The Cancer Capricorn dynamic is one of managing your domestic life and then your public and professional life. So this full moon reminds us that the neglect of either of these areas will always result in tension, shown by that opposition between the sun in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn. So it's really important that we find the balance between our personal lives and our professional goals, and make sure that we are moving through life striving for a better balance between the two. Yeah. So with that being said, let's get into these horoscopes, and please do remember to listen to both your sun sign and your rising sign as well. Aries suns and Aries risings. I hope you guys have been doing well. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your 10th house of career, status, and public reputation. So this full moon is kind of like a mid-year review for these particular areas of your life. So how is your career going? Is there anything that needs to be changed? Is there anything that needs to be addressed or released? Has your status changed in any way this year? Maybe you've gone from engaged to married, or from renter to homeowner. Maybe you've cultivated a deeper sense of like discipline and drive recently. I'm thinking about Saturn's recent shift into your sign. So maybe this new sense of discipline is helping you work more diligently towards some of your career goals that you have for yourself. This full moon is an opportunity to, yes, make the necessary changes to help you for the rest of the year, but to also give yourself some credit for all the things that you have already achieved this year. As well as all the things that you've had to navigate this year as well. This could be a time where you become aware of some of the changes that need to be made in your career and in your professional life. This might also be a time where you do have a bit of a run-in with an authority figure. The 10th house also rules over authority figures. So like a boss or a manager or even a parent as well. If you are finding your authority figures a little bit challenging around this time, consider if there is some experience or feeling from your past that it reminds you of. Sometimes when authority figures are frustrating, there is something within us that kind of makes us want to sort of run away or even change jobs, and sort of escape the situation. But consider if there is something in you that needs, I'm not blaming you, but in you that needs like addressing, or something from the past that sort of relates to this current situation. This is a time for a reevaluation and reviewing career-related things like aspirations and commitment. So if you need to change your plans or formulate a new one, do take the time to do that around this particular full moon. Taurians, Taurus suns and Taurus risings. I hope you guys have been good. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your ninth house of beliefs, spirituality, higher learning, and the broadening of your own personal horizons. So this house also rules over overseas travel as well, and how you perceive the world, how you view the world around you. So this is the halfway point of the year. This full moon is kind of like a mid-year progress review. So this full moon in Capricorn is asking you, what progress have you made in these areas of your life? Have you managed to find a better balance between your day-to-day life, the kind of mundane part where you're busy and you're working and you're running errands, versus the more adventurous and expansive part of your life where you're learning new things, exploring your belief system as well? What growth have you made in these areas? And what changes do you need to make in order for you to feel more fulfilled in these areas as well? You might have felt your belief system kind of change and shift throughout the year. And this full moon is kind of like your opportunity to review those changes and see what aligns with you, and what aligns with the person that you've grown into as well. If you have been neglecting some of these areas of your life, this full moon might bring with it sort of this deep need for like change. It might call you to book a holiday. There is a Mercury retrograde coming up, so please book for after that. It might call you to book a holiday to somewhere you feel quite connected to, for some reason. It might be like ancestral, or it could be somewhere that gives you like good memories. It could also be a time where you're completing a cycle of learning. So it could be structured learning in a classroom, or something that you were learning and kind of looking into in your own time. If you have been leaning more into the mundane, everyday aspects of life, which Taurians, I know, you guys are quite good at sort of the routine and the mundane, taking care of business type of stuff. I wouldn't be too hard on yourself about that. Sometimes we do need to be grounded and we do need to take care of what we need to take care of. But if you are craving more adventure, whether that's physically or mentally, try to prioritize that going forward. and use this full moon as an opportunity to think about how you could bring more expansion into your everyday, not just through traveling. Traveling is not always accessible to everybody, but through things like reading and meditating, and looking into things that kind of expand your personal horizons. Sometimes the smallest passages in a book can broaden our mind just as well as a holiday abroad or being amongst a different culture. So try to keep that in mind around this full moon. Geminis, Gemini suns and my fellow Gemini risings. I hope we have been doing as well as we can. It's been crazy, but anyway, this full moon in Capricorn will happen in your 8th house of intimacy, shared resources and psychological transformations as well. So this full moon is kind of like a big progress review. It is the midway point in the year. And it provides us an opportunity to kind of examine our current circumstances and have a look at what needs to be addressed, acknowledged or released. This is especially true for these 8th house areas of the human experience. So when it comes to how you experience intimacy, when it comes to how you navigate your shared resources, and your security, your sense of security, and also how you view your own psyche as well, and how you manage your past experiences. This full moon is a time for you to kind of release baggage so that you can have like a new perspective on things, and feel lighter and more free as you move through the rest of the year. It's a time where I feel like transformation will be sort of at the forefront of your mind and also your heart as well. This transformation could be something external in nature, so you might become aware of something in your, I don't know why I looked around there, but something in your immediate environment that might be holding you back from feeling as free and as optimistic as you can about the rest of the year, and beyond the rest of the year as well. Or it could be something more internal, something that the full moon sort of illuminates, something that needs to be changed in order for you to release and purge from yourself so that you can actualize your goals in the way that you want to. This could also be a time where you finish paying something off, or you could even be lending somebody close to you some money, or some resources. It doesn't have to be monetary. There are other ways of lending support, but yeah, there might be someone in your life that's going through something that does require your help in some way. It does feel a little bit like, and don't wince when I say this, it does feel like a little bit like a serious full moon, which is not a bad thing. That's why I said don't wince. But it is a full moon that sort of comes to you at a time where you're in a reflective state already. So try and lean into that energy, and make the changes that you need to try and continue to move forward throughout the year, like at your own pace. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. I hope you guys have been well. This full moon in Capricorn will fall in your 7th house of romantic relationships, marriage, business partnerships and contracts. So as I mentioned earlier, this full moon is kind of like the halfway point in the year where we review our progress, and what needs to be changed, as well as what needs to be addressed, acknowledged and released in these particular areas of your life. This is a time where you might be reevaluating your connections. There may be some connections in your life that you want to deepen and foster, and there could be some connections that need to come to an end. This is a time where you might be struggling to find the balance between making sure that your needs are met, but also making sure that you're accommodating a partner's feelings as well. This is a good time to kind of find the balance between those two things and try and find a middle ground and compromise. But what I would say is try not to accommodate. Well, accommodate, but try not to over accommodate. What I mean by that is, and this also goes for business partnerships as well, try not to fall into the trap of trying so hard to balance the two that you end up at one extreme or the other. So this is a fantastic time to negotiate, yes. I would say lean into that energy of compromise, but also don't let anybody take you for granted either. If you are single, this might be a really good time to kickstart an existing connection that you have with someone. You can finally ask them out, or you can ask them to kind of like go a bit deeper, get a little bit more serious. And you might find that it is easier to express your feelings for one another in a one-to-one setting in each other's company. So do try to keep that in mind around the time of this full moon. Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. I hope you guys have been doing good since I've been away. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your 6th house of physical health, day-to-day work and routines as well. So this is the midway point in the year. This is a time for reviewing the changes and the progress you have made in these areas of your life. When it comes to your health, this full moon could come at a time where you see the wrapping up of a health problem. It might also illuminate some new ideas when it comes to improving your health and well-being. You might come across something like a practice or like a physical activity that sort of unites the mind and body in some way, which is good. In regards to work, how has that been for you? How has that been? This full moon could be a time where you do wrap up a work project, or you could decide that the work you're doing at this moment needs to change. Your work plans and your work aspirations need an upgrade in some way. This full moon is a really good time for making practical changes to the things that aren't working out for you in these particular areas of your life. It is a fantastic time to formulate new plans and gain a fresh perspective. If you have been feeling stuck with health related things or work matters, the 6th house also does rule over pets. So if you do have pets, this could be a time where things that relate to them come up in some way as well. What I will say is that this full moon is calling you to get a little bit more practical. Not saying you're not practical already, but it is calling you to get more practical and more realistic. And it is here to remind you that the work that you do now will benefit you in the long term. So keep placing those sort of building blocks for yourself. And if you need to like remove a block, add a block, don't be afraid to do that. Try and keep your faith in yourself high around the time of this full moon. Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings. I hope you guys have been doing well. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your 5th house of fun, romance, hobbies and creativity, and also children as well. So first of all, we have been saying that this full moon is kind of like a midway review when it comes to some of the intentions that you set for yourself at the new moon in Capricorn at the end of last year. So in terms of your love life, think about the progress you have made with that this year. Are you happy with it? It's the same with your hobbies as well. And your creative pursuits. How do you feel when it comes to like the progress of those things? The same goes for your children as well, if you have any. How has that been going? How have you been navigating child rearing and things like that? So this full moon will kind of illuminate the path ahead when it comes to these areas of your life. There could be some like epiphanies, and you'll have an opportunity to kind of recognize if anything needs to change. This could also be a time where you wrap up a creative project or a creative pursuit, or you could see the peak or completion of a love affair that you have been involved with. Not a literal affair. I just mean like something romantic that you've been involved with. Maybe you've been interested in someone for a while, and you can either see that situation progress or come to a close around the full moon. This is a full moon for having some fun as well, for you guys in particular. So regardless of what goes on or what comes to your attention, remember to prioritize your pleasure around the time of this full moon. Librans, Libra suns and Libra risings. I hope you guys have been doing good. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your fourth house of home, family, the past, and your personal life as well, and your personal projects. So this full moon is a big review of sorts. It's an opportunity to review your family, your home life. There might be something that you need to sort of like acknowledge or address or release in one or more of these areas of your life is what I'm trying to say. This could be a time where when you are reviewing these areas of your life, you might feel like I need to rethink these goals or these plans in some way. There might be something that the full moon illuminates and brings to your attention so that you can take a moment, see the progress, but also see what needs to be changed in order for you to kind of do the things that you want to do. This full moon could also be a point in your life where you come to realize the value in having a really good work-life balance. I know I mentioned that before. Of course, we know that work-life balance is quite valuable because we hear about it from many sources all the time. But this full moon might give you an indicator that you do need to strike a better balance between your home and family life and your public and professional life as well. What I will say, cat hair, sorry. What I will say is that when it comes to these realizations, do take your time when it comes to thinking about what needs to change and how you can achieve that balance as well. Sometimes when the full moon rolls around, we have this sort of like burst of energy and we take lots of action and we try and run around and kind of self-soothe and try and change things. Try not to do that with this full moon. Try and take a moment to sort of recognize your progress in these areas of your life and give yourself some props for the growth that you've made so far. And then take some time to formulate some new plans or update your existing plans with all the new information that you might become aware of around the time of this full moon. Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. I hope you guys have been well. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your third house of siblings, communication and short distance travel, as well as learning as well. So cast your mind back to the end of last year around 30th of December at the new moon in Capricorn. What are some of the intentions that you set around your learning, around your local community as well, when it comes to traveling? What were some of the goals that you set for yourself in terms of those things? This full moon is kind of like a mid-year progress review on those intentions that you set. Whatever was going on for you at the end of last year might come up again around the time of this full moon in order for you to kind of acknowledge, release or change something, in order for you to kind of move forward feeling a little bit more aligned with those intentions that you set for yourself last year. So if you've been going through the year and you felt yourself kind of deviate off the path, this full moon will kind of illuminate what needs to happen in order for you to return to that path. This could also be a time where a sibling, if you have siblings, needs your support, or you could have, I say extra contact. It's like you can speak to your sibling or siblings more so than you than you normally would around this time. This could also be a time where you do finish up, or you reach the midway point of a learning cycle. It could be something that you are learning on your own, in your own time, or in a structured way, like in a classroom, in a school. Either way, this does feel like quite a busy full moon for you Scorpios. It might feel like you're being pulled in like not even 2 directions, but like 4 or 5 different directions. Try to prioritize your priorities, and deprioritize what doesn't need to be done straight away. Sometimes like busyness is good, but be careful not to get too burnt out trying to sort of do everything at once. So please do keep that in mind around the time of this full moon. Sagittarians. I feel like I always say it like that. Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings, how are we all? This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your 2nd house of income, money, talent and self-worth. So at the end of last year, we had a new moon in Capricorn on the 30th of December. You might have set some intentions, not just around your income, but how you can sort of build up your inner world and heighten your self-esteem whilst you move throughout the year 2025. Think of this full moon kind of like a mid-year progress review. We are at the midway point where you can kind of evaluate what is working for you, and what is serving you versus what needs to be changed or what needs to be released in order for you to feel more secure within yourself. This is a full moon where you might be giving a lot of thought to both your physical and non-physical resources. You might make some decisions about how to progress forward in regards to these areas of your life. This could also be a time where you might end up paying something off, or you could also have like a change in earnings as well, which is good. Unless it's a change that makes your earnings go down, in which case it's probably not good. I think it's worth thinking about how much you value yourself, and does that value translate into other areas of your life. So do you feel valued by your job? Do you feel valued by your partner? Do you feel valued by your family, etc.? Try to focus on what it is that you need to feel safe, what you need to feel secure and comfortable and valued around this full moon. That's going to be the main focus, and try to make some changes if necessary, to build on that feeling of stability as you move through the rest of the year. Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings, how have you guys been? Has it been okay? Have you been going through it? This full moon is your full moon, so it will fall in your 1st house of identity, the self, life path and physical body as well. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this full moon is kind of like a mid-year progress review where you're probably going to be addressing, acknowledging or releasing something that pertains to you and how you're navigating this year. This might be a time where you're thinking about whether or not your current circumstances are working in your favor, and whether or not your actions and the actions you're taking this year are working in your favor as well. And you might be giving some thought to how you're going to progress through the rest of the year in order to make sure that you're hitting those targets that you set for yourself at the end of last year, at that new moon in Capricorn. This also could be a time where you become aware of both your emotions and your emotional state, as well as a partner's emotional state. And you might be thinking a bit more deeply about how those two states interact and how you can kind of achieve a better balance between making sure that your needs are met, but also your partner's needs are met as well. There's a lot of thinking to be done around this full moon in Capricorn. I feel like you'll be figuring out what needs to kind of remain in your life. This could be like people, places, habits, things in general, and what needs to be released and changed so that you can continue this year feeling more yourself and more in tune with where it is that you're trying to go this year. If you get what I'm saying. Try to look at this full moon / progress review with like an open mind. And if there is any at any point during this week actually, where you feel like you need help sort of sifting through your emotions and sifting through your thoughts, do reach out to a trusted friend or a family member to help you. Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. I hope we're all doing well. This full moon in Capricorn will happen in your 12th house of rest, spirituality, the unseen and the subconscious. So this full moon might be quite an interesting one for you Aquarians. I do feel like many of you have had some of the things from your past, from your subconscious, resurface at different points throughout this year. And this does feel like a halfway point where you are asking yourself, okay, so in order for me to move forward feeling lighter and feeling freer and more myself, what do I need to change or release in regards to the past, and in regards to my own subconscious as well. This is actually a really, really good time. It's actually the perfect time to acknowledge and release some of the, I don't have a different word aside from the word baggage, but some of the stuff that you might be holding on to. I had a client the other day and we spoke about how sometimes in the past, sometimes the past can kind of feel like a backpack, and it's really heavy and it's really uncomfortable and it's weighing you down. And there's no reality in which that backpack can ever sort of like disappear. It's just a part of you now, but you do want to get to a stage where it becomes more of a briefcase where you can have it and you can sort of carry it at your side rather than having it weigh you down. Anyway, my point is that this full moon is calling you to explore how you can make steps to change some of the things that make the past stuff a backpack into a briefcase. You can tell I really like this analogy, right? This might also be a time where you crave some alone time. The 12th house also does rule over solitude and isolation. So if you do find yourself alone around the time of this full moon, it might be worth getting some rest, or doing some self-care related things in order for you to feel more replenished and kind of ready to return to the world feeling refreshed. So do try and keep that in mind around the time of this full moon. Pisceans, my fellow Pisces suns and Pisces risings. I hope we are all doing okay, considering the circumstances. This full moon in Capricorn will fall in your 11th house of friends, connections and community, as well as groups and long-term goals for the future. Now, you might have already had a few run-ins with your friends already. And when I say run-ins, this could mean anything from like arguments to like anxieties to feeling some weird energy from them. I think you might also have made some brand new friends and formed some new connections as the year has progressed. So this full moon is basically a big review of your connections, both old and new. How do they make you feel? How do you feel after you've hung out with them? Do you feel energized, or do you feel drained? Very important questions for Pisces. Pisces are particularly sensitive to energies, especially the energies of others. So these are really big indicators when it comes to whether or not these connections are meant to be in your personal sphere. Also, at the new moon in Capricorn at the end of last year, when it comes to your long-term goals for the future, you might have set some intentions around how you're going to actualize some of those goals going forward. This full moon is kind of an opportunity for you to review your priorities and cultivate a deeper sense of both discipline and also clarity when it comes to your long-term goals as well. What are the most important ones? What are the most realistic and practical ones that you can actualize? That's not to say that there are dreams that are too big. I'm a big believer in anything could happen. You just never know, which I think you guys will understand. Like, anything can happen. This is more so you creating like a big picture for yourself, and also allowing yourself to kind of get lost in the details of that picture. So breaking things down into milestones, making sure that you're taking grounded action in regards to what it is you want to achieve. That has just reminded me that I need to formulate some deadlines. Anyway. So yeah, try to break things down into like different milestones and deadlines as well, and make sure that you're sort of taking grounded action to actualize other goals that you have set for yourself, especially the goals you set for yourself at the end of last year. So do try to keep that in mind around the time of this full moon. So that is all for today, guys. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my new YouTube channel for more astrology updates and horoscope. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. They're both linked in the description box below, and leave a comment about how you're going to navigate this full moon in Capricorn. Happy healing, everyone.